Hello everyone, welcome. Welcome to this literary session in which we are just going to discuss an important poetic form, that is sonnet. Friends, the topic of our discussion today is very interesting one, and in this video we shall discuss the various things, various facts related to this form of poetry. Friends, be sure that sonnet is the oldest and most significant form of poetry. This form of poetry got its origin in Italy and is known to be perfected by the Italian poet Petrarch. Friends, before going to discuss this poetic form, let me tell you very clearly that sonnet is a poem of 14 lines, and this poem of 14 lines originated in Italy. Italy is known to be the land of birth of this form of poetry, which is the oldest and most significant one. Friends, sonnet is very interesting poem. It's a love poem dealing with the single idea or emotion of the poet in the most remarkable way. As far as the matter of sonnet is concerned, the term sonnet has been derived from the Italian term sonetto, which means a little sound or strain. Let me tell you very clearly that this poetic form originated in Italy and is said to be composed for the first time, or you can say sonnets were first seen in the later half of 13th century, and at that time they were associated with the name of Petrarch. It was none but Petrarch who used and perfected, who wrote and perfected this form of poetry, who composed so many sonnets on so many themes, especially love one, and perfected this form of poetry. Some scholars give the credit of first sonnets to a Sicilian lyre at the court of Frederick II, and the name of the lyre was Giacomo di Lentino. Critics regard him to be the creator of first sonnets, and later on it developed in the hands of scholars, Italian scholars like Petrarch and Boccaccio. Petrarch perfected this form of poetry, and that is why this form of poetry, that is known as Italian sonnet, came to be known as Petrarchan sonnet. Later on, in 16th century, Thomas Yacht and Surrey visited Italy, and when they returned to England, they brought with them this poetic form. They made full and free use of this form of poetry, and later on so many scholars started to compose sonnets on different themes. Spenser, Shakespeare, Surrey, and so many scholars wrote sonnets of world repute. Milton, Spenser are the remarkable names. The sonnets started to be written, to be composed gradually in England, but it was Shakespeare who changed the pattern. He took a different structure, but before that you must know the structure and the rhyme pattern of Italian sonnet first. We will discuss each and every aspect of these sonnets in detail, but at surface level you must note it that Shakespeare changed the form, the poetic form. Actually, Italian sonnet has two parts: the octave and the sestet. And the rhyming scheme of this form of sonnet, this kind of sonnet is ABBA, ABBA, CDE, CDE. Shakespeare made some changes in this poetic form. Instead, he used 3 quatrains and a couplet. 3 quatrains of 4 lines each and a couplet of 2 lines, totaling 14 lines of pentameter, iambic pentameter. And therefore 2 kinds of sonnets came in existence. The first one, Italian sonnet, or you can say Petrarchan sonnet, and the second one, Shakespearean sonnet or English sonnet. Some scholars later in England followed Petrarchan model, that was of octave and sestet, and some followed Shakespearean model, that was of 3 quatrains and a couplet. You must be sure that the Italian sonnet or Petrarchan sonnet, which comprises of a octave and a sestet, presents 2 parts in octave and 2 parts of sestet before us. Octave, in a octave there are 2 quatrains of 4 lines each, and in a sestet there are 2 tercets of 3 lines each. The first part, or you can say the first quatrain, states preposition, and the second proves it. The first part of quatrain, or you can say the first tercet, confirms it, and the second part of sestet brings to conclusion. At the end of, this is important and one must keep in mind, at the end of octave there is a slight pause called caesura, and then before the beginning of or at the beginning of sestet, or you can say in the ninth line, there is a turn of thoughts, and this turn of thoughts is known as volta. These two terms, volta and caesura, are important. Several times they are raised, the questions are raised from these terms. One thing that one must keep in mind regarding Italian sonnet is that the Italian sonnets or Petrarchan sonnet are written in or written not in iambic pentameter. They follow henticasyllabic, means metrical lines of 11 syllables. Friends, Petrarch wrote totaling about 317 sonnets, and in these sonnets he immortalized his love, he immortalized his beloved Lara. Some of the sonnets have been written to his friends, have been dedicated to his friend, but be sure that these sonnets are of avoiding human interest. They present to the world the basics of human passion, the basics of human speech. This is all about sonnet. One must keep in mind, this is all about this form that one must keep in mind, one must view and review again and again. Friends, the video is getting long, and so the other things will be discussed in our next video, and in that video we shall discuss the Shakespearean sonnet, and after that we shall know the different types of sonnets that are in vogue, that are in existence even today. We shall know as to what is Miltonic sonnet, we shall know as to what is Spenserian sonnet, we shall know as to what are the important types of sonnets in our next video. Okay, goodbye friends.